In today's episode, we're talking about a video game demo that is deemed one of the best horror video games ever, spawning dozens, if not more, games to follow its exact format, PT. Okay, so PT is a 2014 psychological horror game directed and designed by Hideo Kojima in collaboration with filmmaker Guillermo del Toro. It uses a first-person perspective inside endlessly looping hallways of a haunted house. The goal is to solve the hidden puzzles throughout the house in order to find a way out of the loop. And we should say that this demo is no longer available, right?
Yeah, it's no longer available because they took it off the PlayStation Network. But people have found ways to hack it and steal it, put it into like PC.
But it's not
engines.
like officially available anymore.
Nah, because it got canceled.
Even though it is one of the most popular horror games, quote unquote, ever.
I don't know what happened. Did you look up why it got canceled?
It just said that it got canceled.
I have no idea why it got canceled. It was so good.
Yeah. But before we begin the conversation, let's play a round of trivia. Creeping It Real. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, this one might be an easy one, but the first question is, what does PT stand for?
It's something teaser. Playable teaser?
Yeah.
I
didn't know that.
Instead of demo, yeah, it's playable teaser.
That's hilarious. I thought it had a deeper meaning.
Yeah, but you don't really see anything PT, like named PT.
Yeah.
I think it's called PT Silent Hills. Like, it wasn't going to be called Silent Hill. Silent Hills.
Yeah, I think you're right. There is only one credited cast member of the game. Who is it?
Norman Reedus.
Yup, I knew you would get that one, but just for context, in case anybody did not know that, Norman Reedus is the only actual character. I mean, the only actual cast member in this game. And he's in the game for, 10 seconds?
Yeah, I think you're playing as him, I think so.
Oh,
yeah.
what?
I don't know if you're playing as him, because as you go outside in the end,
you
see his face. I don't know, I'm not sure. Because there's other like recordings and stuff, but you can't tell.
Okay. Alright, question number 3. There are Easter eggs for PT in another game. Which game is it?
Metal Gear. Nah. Is it?
Is it?
Or Silent Hill, because it's based on Silent Hill, so.
Well, what's your guess?
I would say Metal Gear, because it's Hideo Kojima who made it.
Which one?
Phantom Pain.
Which?
Is that part 5?
I don't know if it's part 5, but the answer is part 5.
Yeah. Well, remember there was Phantom Pain, and then it was...
I can't remember the
subtitles.
subtitles.
Remember the other ones, yeah, but it's part 5, yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, you got that one right. And just some fun facts about those Easter eggs. Okay, so fun fact number 1, as an addendum to question number 3, you can use the ghost from PT as a decoy to distract enemies.
You can use the what?
The ghost from PT.
In Metal Gear?
Yeah.
Wait, what ghost?
We gotta go back and play Metal Gear because I can't remember that either, but apparently you can.
Oh, shit.
Okay, another fun fact about part 3, or question 3, you can find a radio playing the broadcast from PT.
Oh, yeah, I think I remember that part, just that one part. I was like, oh.
And then the third addendum is there's a song called 204863 found on a cassette tape, which is a reference to the demonic Swedish radio message from PT.
And that's in Metal Gear also?
Yeah.
Shit.
There's a lot of Easter eggs.
Why did he do that, though? He always does some funny shit.
It's super clever. It's pretty awesome. I had no idea. But moving on to the last question, and I don't think you'll get this one, but you, the player, trigger a small sequence in the game. And I'll give you a hint. It's one of your 5 senses.
Wait, so you trigger one of your 5 senses in the game?
One of your senses is triggering something in the game.
Is it fair? Nah. Your sense of fair? No, I'm joking.
Like, what?
Oh, your voice? Does it have, like, a mic on it?
Yes.
Wait, but how? Wait, what? Isn't this on PlayStation 3?
I think it's PlayStation 4, actually.
Oh, yeah, it's PS4. I can't remember.
So, let me refresh your memory. Oh, I don't even know if you would know this, but as part of the puzzles, once the clock strikes 12, you need to wait for 3 giggles to sound through the hallway. Some players have reported that by speaking into the microphone, you trigger the next giggle.
Oh, shit, I had no idea about that.
I feel like, and we'll get into this when we start discussing, but I feel like when we played that game, we had no idea what we were getting ourselves into.
Yeah, when we played it, we had no idea. We had no idea what to do, like where to go. You were so fucking lost.
We were lost.
But that's the joy of the game.
Yeah, I agree, and I feel like we were playing it for so long, even though it was a very short demo game.
Nah, because you wanted to play it over and over again. It was so funny, and then you get looped.
Yeah,
so it's
it feels never
forever. Yeah.
I'll just throw in one last thing, cause it's not a trivia question, but I remember when I was doing the research for this episode that I noticed this one tidbit. I don't know if you knew this, but you know when you start the game up and you're in that kind of empty room and there's a door and then you open the door and then you enter the game?
Yeah.
Did you know that there's somebody behind that door every single time?
Wait, what do you mean?
There's somebody peeking through the little cracks of the door
looking at
every single time.
Oh shit, I didn't know that shit. Why? Well, how would you supposed to know that? You're supposed to look and see him?
I guess look very carefully.
Oh,
because you can't see it. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
That's so scary.
Yeah, they made the shit mad creepy. I don't know why they canceled this game. Shit.
It's so good. It's too good. And why did they cancel the demo? Why couldn't you continue playing it if you wanted to? Anyway. Let's get into the discussion. I will let you take the lead on this one. Why did we decide to cover this one?
So the reason why we decided is because it's one of the most scariest shit demos that you ever seen and ever played. We would come over, we would have friends over, and we would be like, you gotta see this fucking game. So we would take off all the lights, and while we're playing, they're screaming. Yeah. Even you were screaming. Shit was just happening. We put the volume all the way up, and it was that scary. You'd never seen anything like this in a game like this. And it was the same loop over and over again, but some shit was always happening, like something jumping out the door, or some creepy-ass weird shit happening.
Yeah. I can't really remember... Well, you're always staying up to date with new game releases and stuff like that, so I'm assuming that you learned about PT because you were staying updated with Hideo Kojima's game releases.
Yeah, because he's one of my dudes.
Yeah.
Because of Metal Gear.
Yeah.
And then I always read gaming websites and stuff. So I knew it was gonna come out, and I was like, "You gotta play this demo," because I think I read it was IGN or something.
Yeah.
I read it and it popped up.
Yeah, little did we know that. And when Ian says that we've never experienced something like this before, we have to remember that this came out about 10 years ago, and so all of the horror games that you see online on Steam and stuff like that, they've pretty much riffed off of this game. This is the origin of those kind of loophole walking around in a hallway haunted house type of game.
Jump scares.
It's wild. It was the first of its kind, and like Ian said, there was no instructions because it was a demo. You just had to figure it out, and that's what made it even more scary. It was so scary.
Yeah, and every time you would come around back in a loop, something else would change. And
yes.
If it didn't change, you're like, all right, I did something wrong, so let me go back. So that was the joy in it. It was like a puzzle.
Yeah, I think it was one of the first puzzles that wasn't very clear cut, this is a puzzle, here is how you solve it. It was more so you had to go a few loops before you realized you had to solve puzzles.
Yeah, and sometimes you would go around and nothing at all would happen.
Yeah.
So you're like, what the...
Which messes with your head even more. It makes it more scary because you don't know if you're going to even expect anything this loop around.
And then there was a whole community online telling you how to do it or what to do.
Yeah.
And something would happen with them. It was everybody was getting involved in this shit.
And there's alternative, I wouldn't say endings, but there's alternative routes that you can play the game. So some people will experience it completely different, right? That's what you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as you were playing it, it was you were getting freaked out because it was where do we... you feel like you're lost.
Yeah.
And you never played a game like that just stopped in one whole room over and over again.
Yeah. It was so good. It's simple in a sense, but so good. I feel like we segued into the reasons why we like it, so we can just keep going off.
Yeah.
We can keep talking about the things that we like about it, but I will reiterate that it is so scary. What's scary about it? I would say it's very dark. Literally very dark. So you can't see well, which adds to the tension. There are some really eerie noises, repetitive noises, like the baby crying, which is probably overdone at this point, but back then it was creepy to hear a baby crying like that.
And then you're looking for the baby and it was a fetus in the sink.
That was disgusting. Yeah. And then there was the swinging of the chandelier, which kept an eerie, screeching kind of noise that kept happening, and if you didn't hear it, which is the funny thing, is if you didn't hear it, then you were concerned.
Yeah,
because it was always
you want to hear it,
swinging, which was funny. It's just so clever.
And then it's like, who touched that shit? Because the only way for that to swing is somebody had to touch it.
Yeah, and then I think there was one loop around where you looked up and it wasn't even a chandelier anymore. It was like a fridge.
Oh yeah, there was a fridge up there too. Yeah, you're right. And remember there was a lady hanging?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I think it was somebody hung themselves. And then you would go to the phone and somebody would be like, get out or some shit. There's a bunch of crazy shit. The phone would ring, you would answer the phone.
Yeah. It was interesting because of how clever it was, it would play on the things that you expected to constantly be there as like
comfort.
Almost like comfort, even though it's we're so weird by saying comfort all the time, but almost a comfort because certain sounds were just always there. So you relied on it. But it was a scary sound to begin with.
It's like you're in this loop, and then you're like, all right, I could go to the bathroom because the bathroom's like a small like box to hide yourself, and you go in there, there's crazy shit going on in there too.
Yeah.
So it's like
nothing was safe in reality, and nothing you could really rely on to be like your escape from the horror of it all. It was like every single loop, or maybe every single turn you made, something different would happen. So you're just constantly on edge, constantly scared. I think that's what it does the best.
Fair, yeah. That was the best fair because it's like you have nowhere to go. You're stuck in the shit.
Yeah.
And you're playing this game, but you're like, where do I go? What's next?
Yeah. And I think we tried to find some solace by running to the exit, and sometimes the door would not let you leave. You had to finish the puzzle before you can leave. So even that was terrifying. There was literally no escape.
It was good.
I feel like when we were playing that game, we were on the edge of our seats and just looping and looping until we finally made it to the end, and then I felt like we took a breath.
Yeah.
Because it was that scary.
And I think there's nothing bad about this fucking demo. There's nothing bad, there's nothing negative.
Well...
What do you think?
Well...
Except when you get lost.
I mean, even that is kind of enjoyable because the tension is there, and that's what makes a good horror game as well.
Yeah.
But, like, the loops are kind of addictive.
Yeah, you want to keep going back.
You want to keep going.
And something's always changing, and if nothing changes, it drives you to find out the puzzle, to see what's going to happen next.
Yeah, like, you want to know the story because you don't get a clear-cut structure of a story. You have to first figure out what the heck you're doing in this game. Then you have to realize that you're in a puzzle. Then you have to realize there's a story behind the puzzle. And there is a clear story. It's just that you have to figure out the puzzle pieces as you go. And so that's what makes it so addictive. You want to figure out what the root of the story is, what the horror of the story is. And so you have to keep playing. So in a way, it's kind of maddeningly addictive. Did I say that right? Anyway, you know what I mean.
That noise, that radio noise on the phone, it's like, so it's been there, 2014, it's like, you hear it in like every game now, so it's just like...
Yeah. It kind of sucks.
They used it, they used it too many, they outplayed it.
Yeah, it kind of sucks that now it's kind of something annoying in a sense, but back then it was so cool.
Just like the baby crying.
Yeah, now the baby crying is super annoying when we're playing a game. And they just throw in a baby. It has nothing to do with the story.
Yeah.
So let's go back to your question. Is there anything bad about this game? And I will say the only thing that's bad about this game is the most obvious thing, is that it didn't turn into a full-fledged game.
They canceled it, yeah, that's the
But
worst
maybe that's a good thing.
Why? It would have fucking freaked out people?
So hear me out. I'm like the person that kind of enjoys being cut short because it leaves a mystery to whatever story. This is why I don't like series. I don't like things being overplayed, overdone. I like it when it's cut short and then you're kind of left like, what the fuck? And then that just makes it all the more scary, all the more mysterious. So maybe it's one of the best horror games because it cut short and we don't get to see the rest of it.
Because you have to decide what's going to happen? Well, why didn't he write a book about it? So, isn't that what they do to make money on it? They're like, write a book?
Maybe he just didn't give a shit.
Somebody got to contact them. I mean, it's been a lot of years, and I'm sure they'll contact, what's his name?
Hideo?
Guillermo.
Oh, Guillermo, yeah.
And tell him to write the story, because I'm sure because it was his scary shit that told Hideo how to do it.
Oh, I see what you mean, like his story?
Yeah, that he implemented the gameplay, so it's like...
Yeah. You're probably right. There's probably, like, legal agreements where they just cannot talk about it. Probably.
Yeah, it was really good.
But also, they're just so two successful creators, and they have so much money.
They're like, whatever.
They're probably like, whatever, we're just going to scrap this one, even though it goes down in history. And also, I bet you it's such a simple explanation, like, oh, well, we just decided not to move forward. However, I don't know if I could say this on the podcast, but you never know what's going on behind the scenes if certain agreements at the very basic level in terms of legal or terms and things like that, it just gets hit at a snag and then it just cannot move forward from there. So maybe that happened.
Yeah.
The way that they don't talk about it a lot makes it seem like...
Sign like a...
Yeah.
Sign something, yeah.
Makes it seem like it's a simple explanation, actually.
Also, another thing that's probably bad, I would say, or negative, is a lot of people copy this shit.
Yeah.
Like, it's copied so much that they can't do it again.
That's the thing. That's the thing, too. When something is so great, and then other people start replicating it because it's so great, it kind of loses a little bit of value. I think about that a lot when I think about Twin Peaks.
Yeah, when people keep...
Like, it's such a good story on its own, and iterations of it are great, too, but it's too close to the original.
When people keep copying and using it as,
Amuse?
What's the word? Yeah, amuse. Amuse?
Amuse.
Yeah. And
inspiration.
Then inspiration, yeah. It just gets, like, out of... It gets, what is it, watered down?
Yeah, it loses its hype. It loses its sparkle or shine. But, man, nothing can beat the memories attached to when we've played it for the first time. I just remember, and this is probably the memory that you remember the most, too, but we were playing it and everybody was over at our apartment. And you mentioned this earlier in the episode, but I was playing alone for a second because everybody went into a different room for, like, a little break. And I was playing it by myself for, like, maybe, 2 minutes? And I screamed, like, a blood-curdling scream because something jumped out. I think it was the woman, the ghost. And I screamed so loud that everybody ran from one room to the next room to see what happened. And nobody saw anything because it was a jump scare. It disappeared by the time everybody got back into the room. But, oh my gosh, that was the scariest moment I've ever had when it comes to gaming.
Yeah.
I couldn't even explain it to you guys. You were probably like, what? What happened? And I'm like explaining it and you're probably just like, whatever.
Yeah, we wanted to play to see what happened.
And then it never came back.
Yeah. I think that time we just got the game like that same week. Like we just downloaded it, so we were like, yo, you guys gotta come over and see it, like on that Friday or something.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so the reason why I think they took it down is because it takes up space on the server. Oh. So to hold it up there, you have to pay to keep it up there. So they're like, we're never gonna make this game, so why are we paying for it?
Oh, you think so?
Yeah. So a lot of people like ripped this game from I don't know, the PlayStation Network, and then that's how they encoded it and started like making all the copies and stuff.
Could you imagine that they got rid of it, like they took it down to just make it even more mysterious?
Yeah, I know, right? The story. What if it's like a true story?
No.
But also, you could, if you look online, there's a lot of people that like actually like tried to bring it back.
Yeah.
And you could download the demo, but I don't know if it's like illegal or stuff. But yeah, you guys look that up. You guys look that up. I'm not gonna.
Ian's like, that's your business. Don't involve us.
But yeah, if you want to play it, and there's a lot of videos on YouTube, so you can see how it was done back in the day.
It's fun watching. Well, Ian and I, we probably haven't said this on the podcast before, but Ian and I like watching other people play. I mostly like watching other people play horror games because I'm too scared to actually play it myself. I wouldn't even be able to handle it. That watching somebody else deal with it and get scared. It's not comforting, but it takes the pressure off of me.
Yeah, but I actually want to play it. When I see that something's really good, I want to play that shit.
Yeah, that's fair.
To experience scary.
Like me and Poppy Playtime, I couldn't even get through the last scene. It wasn't even that scary, but I was screaming. Anyway.
Is there any other game that like came out after this game that is inspiration, but it's became mainstream?
No. No.
Resident Evil? Oh, maybe.
I mean,
so Resident Evil Village came out after this. I believe the other one, 7.
Mm-hmm.
7 came out after this, and I think because it was first person view, I think it might have been inspiration. Maybe, I'm not sure.
Because it's such a simple game and there was just so many things that you could take from it, whether it's like theory or idea or actual gameplay, you could kind of argue that you'll see a lot of it in all future horror games now. So maybe you're right.
Yeah. Because they want you to like walk in a room and get your ass scared with a jump
Yeah.
scare right in front of your in front of your face. Boom.
It was genius. It was so cleverly done. So that makes a lot of sense. I will end this off by, of course, asking a question to the audience. So don't forget to check out our Instagram post. We always post an Instagram discussion post after an episode goes live. So you can go check that out right now at Live or Alone Pod. And the question for this episode is, are you easily jump scared? I feel like that's an easy question for horror fans, but you could be like me and be very easily jump scared, as opposed to Ian, where somebody could be, like, there could be a murderer in the house and he'll just stop and look at them for like a good 5 minutes and not respond.
Yeah, I remember you try to scare me all the time. When somebody tries to scare me, I don't move. I'm just like, what?
He just stops.
The only time I'll jump is if it's like some real world shit happening. Like, I think, remember I told you I was walking in the street?
No.
I was walking in the street and then like a car accident was about to happen and I was ready on my feet. And my toe was ready to jump back.
So you're saying if somebody was an intruder in the house and just walked up into the house, that's not a real life situation?
Nah, I ain't backing up. I'm going forward. Like what the fuck?
Okay.
Yeah, I gotta. Something's weird because people
Maybe
will, like
you're-
people will jump out and be like, and I'll be like, yeah, and
Maybe you're one of those people that just freezes up in one of those situations. It was probably not a good thing, but maybe you're just one of those people.
yeah.
All right, you let us know in the discussion post on Instagram, and thank you so much for listening to today's episode. If you liked today's episode and you want to hear more from us, do us a favor and share our podcast with a family member, a friend, a fellow horror lover. The more that our podcast gets out there and more people listen, the more that we'll be able to do other seasons. So we appreciate you, and tune in next Wednesday because we're talking about an M. Night Shyamalan series that took us by surprise and just got stranger and stranger as the seasons went on. Servant. But for now,
We'll see you in the kitchen with a knife.